Okay, so now you have finished the content for the Level 1 Award in Spirits. Let's do a quick recap to make sure that you've picked up on the most important points that the course covers. Module 1 covered the production of spirits. It gave you a very brief overview covering the 4 stages of production that are common to all spirits. Stage 1 is the selection and the processing of the raw material. The objective of stage 1 is to create the sugary liquid that is needed for fermentation in order to create the alcohol. In order to achieve that sugary liquid, you need to select a raw material that has sugar in it or has carbohydrate in it. Sometimes that carbohydrate is in the form of starch, which needs conversion into sugar before it can then be fermented. So there's a degree of processing that is required, and that will vary from spirit to spirit, from raw material to raw material. The other thing that the raw material provides the spirit with is its unique set of flavours. Of course, one of the most obvious is that tequila tastes of green pepper and olive because it is made from blue agave. Without the blue agave as its raw material, it would not have those distinctive characteristics. And of course, sometimes that raw material will have been defined by the local regulations that govern the production of that particular spirit. Stage 2 is fermentation. Fairly straightforward. Fermentation converts the sugary liquid into an alcoholic liquid. Yeast is required to start that fermentation process. The yeast consumes, it feeds on the sugary liquid, on the sugar in the liquid, converting it into alcohol. Ethanol is the alcohol that we're particularly interested in. The other thing that happens during fermentation is that the yeast create another set of aromas and flavours. They add to the complexity and the character of the spirit by creating lots of different compounds during the fermentation process. Those compounds are volatile, they have an aroma associated with them, and we can identify that when we taste the spirits. One of the most obvious examples is that really pronounced pineapple flavour and aroma that you sometimes get in rum. Stage 3 is distillation. The objective of distillation is to concentrate the alcohol, concentrate the ethanol. We take our alcoholic liquid, which can vary between 8 to 10% ABV, and we concentrate the alcohol, and so we remove some of the other components that were present in that alcoholic liquid, water being the primary one. There are 2 types of still that distillers use, a column still or a pot still. A column still uses continuous distillation, whereas a pot still uses batch distillation. If you're going to use a pot still, you will want to do your distillation at least twice. That will take you from your 8% alcoholic liquid up to a spirit that has about 70% ABV. Column still, however, it's all done in one go. You feed the alcoholic liquid into the bottom, and out of the top of the still will come your concentrated alcoholic liquid. That alcoholic liquid is often referred to as new make spirit or sometimes distillate. It's important to note that you can only produce a high strength spirit using a column still. So if you want to make a vodka, you must use a column still. Pot stills can only achieve a maximum of 70 to 75% ABV. You cannot make a high strength spirit in a pot still. It's important to note that a pot still can only be used to make a low strength spirit. That is a spirit that is about 70 to 75% ABV. Because it's low in alcohol, it will be medium to pronounced in intensity. If, on the other hand, you want to make a neutral spirit or a light spirit, that is a spirit that doesn't have much aroma, doesn't have much flavour, then you will use a column still. You can also use a column still to produce low strength spirits as well. You just take off your spirit from the still at a different position. It's also important to note that all spirits come off of the still colourless and dry. If a spirit is coloured or if a spirit is sweet, it is because sweetening agents or colouring agents are added in the post-distillation phase. And post-distillation is stage 4. Post-distillation is there to adjust the colour, the sweetness, the strength, and the aroma and flavour. Okay, so now we have that overview of the 4 stages that are common to the production of all spirits. We can start working our way through the principal categories of spirits and finding out more about how they're made and what they look and what they smell and taste like. Vodka, cognac, whiskey, rum, tequila, and flavour spirits are the principal categories of spirits that are to be covered at level 1. Vodka, as you'll have read, is made primarily from grains and potatoes. Therefore, conversion is required first. Grains and potatoes store their carbohydrate as starch, which needs to be broken down into individual units, sugar units, before fermentation can happen. The process that converts the starch into the individual sugar units is called conversion. Vodka is then distilled to a high strength in a column still, and it therefore is best described as having a neutral intensity. Cognac is made from grapes that are grown in the Cognac region of France. Very different to vodka in that cognac is distilled using a pot still, double distilled in a pot still. It is therefore a low strength spirit that will typically have a medium to pronounced level of flavour and aroma intensity. Cognac, unlike vodka, has to be matured in oak following distillation. That gives it the vanilla and cedar characteristics from the barrels. It also gives it raisin and fruitcake characteristics from the time that it spends in the barrels. There are minimum aging requirements for cognac. Go back to your book and make sure you've remembered what these are. Whiskey is made from grains: wheat, barley, corn, and rye. Each grain gives the spirit a unique set of flavours. Whiskey can be made in either a column or a pot still. This provides distillers with a range of spirits at different strengths, which then can be used for blending. Blending is really important for whiskey because it creates brand consistency. Be aware of the minimum aging requirements and the different post-distillation operations that are used for whiskies made around the world. Rum is made from sugarcane, and sugarcane is a giant grass. Some rums are made from sugarcane juice. Those rums are often referred to as rum agricole, and they have a very intense grassy characteristic associated with them. Other rums, however, are made from molasses. Molasses is a byproduct of the sugar refining industry, and molasses has a flavour and aroma of caramel and burnt sugar. Like whiskey, rum can be made in either a column or a pot still to a range of different strengths, which again gives rum distillers the option for blending. Some rums are aged, some are unaged, some are sweetened, some are dry, some are coloured, some are not. And then we have tequila. Tequila is very unique. It is very distinctive. It is made from the blue agave, and the blue agave has to be grown in the Jalisco area of Mexico. Because this spirit is made from agave, it has a very strong vegetal character. Green pepper and black olive are often used to describe tequila. Tequila can be made in either a column or pot still. Most are made in a pot still, however. It is the pot still that helps to retain that clear expression of agave. And then finally, we get to flavoured spirits. Spirits can be flavoured either by a process called maceration, which is a bit like making a cup of tea. Drop in your botanicals, your flavourings into your spirit, and leave it there for some time to extract the aromas and flavours. This process will also extract colour and will also extract bitterness. Other spirits are flavoured by a process called redistillation, where the spirit is put into a still with the botanicals and the still is turned on. This process does not extract sweetness or colour or bitterness, The result, the distillate of a redistillation, is colourless and dry. The third method of flavouring a spirit is to add bought-in flavourings. These can either be natural or artificial. Gin is one of the most widely available flavoured spirits, and this has to be flavoured with juniper. It is also worth giving aromatised wines a mention. These are extremely valuable to the bartender to mixing with spirits, and therefore an understanding of how these are made is important. They're not necessarily a spirit, they are a wine that has had spirit added to them along with other flavourings as well. So it is worth making sure that you fully understand how aromatised wines are made. The very last module covers mixing with spirits. Many people like to drink their spirits neat, that is without the addition of ice or water or any other ingredients, but other people enjoy mixing their spirits in order to make a cocktail. In order to make a balanced cocktail, it is important to understand the two sets of scales, that is strong to weak and bitter or sour to sweet. And there are 4 different cocktail families: the spirit forward family, the short sour, the long sour, and the highball. Be aware of which cocktails fit into which family. If you have any questions about any of the content covered during this course, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. I'm more than happy to set up a call at any time to go through anything with you.